All right, good evening, everyone. So we're trying a new setup. We're trying a new setup this evening. We've got the laptop, so that's got about a 10 or 15 second delay, so we get to see it exactly as y'all get to see it, and this actually brings much better camera quality. So sorry, get that aside. Let's get to the business. Well, the business is the big question: is there really a vehicle shortage? Now I've got what I'll call my legal team here, because she said for me not to mention any names, but if you follow one of the biggest YouTubers, well, just recently they pretty much said that there was not really a new vehicle shortage, that dealers are hiding vehicles off to the side at other lots, that they have personally seen them. So Marie, you're here. We'll talk about that, and then of course we'll actually talk about what really is constrained at Ford, the options, the accessories, and of course we're going to talk about Ford Maverick, we're going to talk about Ford Ranger, Ford F-150, Lightning, Mach-E, real surprising constrained item there. And really we're going to talk even about the Escapes. We're going to go through all the Ford models and of course the Bronco. Now, Marie has encouraged me to actually, because I can't actually have photos when we're in this mode, but Marie, in this live method, which we like hanging out with all of you, so the live is very important to us. But Marie, where can they find the photos for this evening's show?
Yes, if you want to check our Instagram page, you will see a few photos that John took for you.
Yeah, so you just go on Instagram, you search Johnny's Car Care and Reviews, add the channel, you'll see there's 2 or 3 little boxes, and you'll see the vehicles we're talking about this evening, a good portion of them. And you'll also, I think I might have snuck in a photo of Winston dressed up in his Halloween costume, because, why not? I'm human too, and I think about, sometimes I've occasionally thought about things other than vehicles a few times in my life, and this would be one of them.
The only thing you find beautiful, except the car, is the dogs.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
More cars, more power, and more
poodles.
Yeah, more poodles. M. Peugeot had said it well. You've all have unfortunately encouraged us and allowed us to get another poodle with all your likes and subscribes. So thank you very much for those likes and subscribes. Do go forward and do that, because it does help us get more content out. So let's get right down to the content.
Yeah.
I felt I absolutely need to cover this because this major YouTuber, and I love this guy. I've been following his channel for years, and I love the information that he provides. And he happens to actually be very much an incredible mechanic and has incredible knowledge about vehicles, and really does his diagnostics about vehicles in regards to the proper philosophy. He starts with what's the simplest thing it could be to what's the worst case scenario. And really all service departments and all mechanics really should have that as their base philosophy. So I applaud him for that. However, is there really a car shortage thing? I have to ask the question, because I'm going to answer the question. He was saying that there isn't. That dealerships have, and he said he's seen them himself, that they have these secondary hidden lots, and that there's vehicles hidden there, and that dealers are only doing this so that they can, mark vehicles up when there's really no shortage at all. Now, let me address that. First of all, do you have anything, and any legal things to make sure I don't say beforehand?
No, like I told you, just don't name anybody, but you'll be fine. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I can follow those rules. Let me just turn the chair so I can see you a little better. So what we've got going on is, and this individual said it really well. He was saying kind of like journalists, basically car journalists, they're just basically paid by the automobile companies to say nice things, and that really they should be doing the real work of actually working on vehicles. People who work on vehicles are really good at working on vehicles, and certain journalists are very good at finding the root problem of things, sort of like asking the question, looking at a problem, describing a problem, and saying, well, what's the simplest solution, and going to the most extreme almost conspiracy level assumption, when all the simple things clearly through testing proved to not be the case. So he's got the right philosophy when it comes to working on things, on vehicles, on anything mechanical. But that principle also needs to be applied to journalism. First of all, not all journalists are getting, free cars and getting paid, getting paid by the manufacturers to say nice things. And actually, he referenced another major channel in all of this, kind of insinuating that they're being, paid to say nice things, which for me didn't make sense because he talked about their Hummer. He said even their Hummer broke down and, kind of saying that, they're insinuating that they're being paid to say nice things. And I wouldn't say that's the case whatsoever, because if they were, why would they ever talk about their Hummer breaking down? So we will talk about electric vehicles this evening because we've got our Lightning on order. But let's answer the big question. No, there really is a new vehicle shortage. Now, is there still a used vehicle shortage? There was summer 2021. You remember, we'd go down to the lot and there'd be anywhere from 0 to 4, 5, sometimes 6 trucks for sale. Mm-hmm. Would you call that a shortage? I'd call that a shortage. Yeah,
because normally you have more than that.
Normally we would hold like 30 to 40 trucks, at least 20. Depending on where the market is. And I've been doing this for, I've been around the automobile world full time for 10 years, basically. And I've been following vehicles since I was 8, 9 years old. And we used to have a 4-hour drive to the cottage and a 4-hour drive back. Every single weekend, I was 8 hours in a vehicle. And batteries back then didn't last very long. Batteries are getting better now. But I had a Game Boy, and once that Game Boy was empty, I was in Auto Trader, like the vehicle sales books, and looking up specs on vehicles through car journals. Mm-hmm. That has been my passion since I've been about, 8, 9, max 10 years old. So there is a car shortage, and used vehicles, because the interest rates have gone up in a lot of places, they're starting to have a buildup of used vehicles for sale because they're a little less appealing when the interest rates are this high and expected to get a little higher still. So what happens? Well, a dealership has three areas that are really filling up the lots. Service, so vehicles that need an oil change, tire rotation, whatever it may be. Repairs. You've got the new vehicles coming in. And yes, those new vehicles, those are, for the most part, customer reservations that have finally come in. And then you have a lot of used vehicles right now. So yes, car dealerships do have full lots. And a lot of people assume, if you're a professional mechanic, you know all about mechanics. If you're a professional journalist, and for the automobiles, you'll ask a lot of the right questions and you'll find the right solutions. So the questions I ask are, what are those new vehicles? Can I buy one? Can I buy all of them? No, they're actually all customers' reservations that have finally come in and they take a week or two to get off the lot. Well, they're taking up a lot of space, and used vehicles, there's a lot of them. And locally, and actually from phone calls I've made, a lot of dealerships have a lot of extra used vehicles. So this all takes up space, and yes, dealerships a lot of them have always had secondary lots, that when the lots get a little too full, they bring vehicles to those secondary lots. Now your used vehicles, you're selling something that's like equivalent of, selling fresh bananas and oranges. You're selling exactly that. So you need that at the dealership. But vehicles that come in that are customer orders, that's the type of vehicle that you would park over on a secondary lot, because the mechanics, mechanics cost $100 to $150 an hour. You're not going to have them drive to a secondary lot for vehicles. And there's also, of course, lots with tens of thousands of vehicles that are mostly completed, but waiting for final completion of a constrained item that we'll talk about shortly. So Ford does have lots with sometimes hundreds, thousands, and even sometimes tens of thousands of vehicles sitting around. So this major YouTuber, and saying that, he's seen lots. Yeah, he has seen lots with vehicles, but those aren't completed vehicles. This isn't, some huge widespread plan by the manufacturers to make sure that there's very few new vehicles on lots when actually there are quite a few because of those orders coming in. And a lot of people assume those are vehicles that are for sale, which is another place where you might think that there actually isn't a vehicle shortage. But there is still a new vehicle shortage, but the used vehicle shortage is pretty much already has ended in a lot of places, or maybe some places it's starting to diminish. So that's what's going on with that. There is absolutely a new vehicle shortage because production is down and demand until recently was extremely high. Now, demand, if interest rates go up on the new vehicles as well, we will see demand cool a little. Does that mean we're going to start seeing, major rebates? I would not wait for major rebates to buy a new vehicle. For Ford, for example, the new plan is just really going to be even, same pricing for everyone, which I strongly believe, and I have reasons to believe that means it's going to be window sticker. And when there is a promotion, maybe it's going to be in regards to playing around with the interest rate. But fixed pricing is coming to Ford, and it's been confirmed on the electric vehicles. So for the EV side of things, Ford EV, and for Ford Blue, the internal combustion engines, hasn't been officially confirmed, but I do see that being extremely likely. That is a very an educated guess, a very good guesstimate, you could say, but an educated guess that we're going to have fixed pricing, but that's not going to come for a little while because we're still set into current dealership contracts, which have benefited for decades the consumer. But now with this scarcity, it is no longer benefiting the consumer, it's benefiting dealerships. But hey, on the electric side, Ford got fed up and said, you know what? Your original contracts don't have anything about EVs in them. So what's cool is Ford said, dealerships, you want to sell EVs? Well, you're going to invest. So you're a proper EV dealership with mechanics that know what they're doing and with charge points. Small investment of about $500,000 US, you get to sell 25 electric vehicles per year. And to stay at today's current dealership, if they want to keep their current volume of electric vehicles, they've got to do two things: invest 1.2 million, mechanics, charge points, and they also, in all cases, have to sell at the internet price, at MSRP. So I see that happening into the gas, and that's that. So that question is answered. Marie's here because she's noting your questions, so she'll be much more active in the show at the end. And we're now going to talk about constrained items. We're going to test your memory, Marie. What kind of, in general, I'll give you the easy question. In general, across Ford models, what type of constraints are you seeing? You can talk about major options or even particular little accessories.
Constraints.
Yeah,
I know. Deluxe package. You always told me that deluxe package is a problem for my order.
Yeah, well, you're
and
Lux.
the spray bed liner.
Yes, very good. So the Lux package is holding you back, and I at least you believe in me. I recently, just yesterday, I believe, very recently, got a comment from someone who just ordered for the very first time their Maverick, and they said, I just ordered a Maverick. And well, first they said, haha, you're all blah, blah, blah. And, you're talking, they're insinuating that I don't know what I'm talking about because they, for the very first time, just ordered a Maverick, and it's a Lariat with all the options, and they've already had their confirmed email. So I think because they got a really quick confirmed email, they're like, this is going to be quick, and think I'm full of baloney. And we'll say baloney because it's delicious, but not healthy. Nothing hard to beat a bologna sandwich with mustard, but anyways, not very healthy. So I think he was saying that I'm not very healthy and that I don't know what I'm talking about. And he actually, he wrote it straight out. 12 months for a Lariat, yeah, right. Or something along those lines. A lot of us here know well enough that if you've got a hybrid on order, you've maybe already gotten your Maverick. If you ordered it early on, June, July, August, September, October, some November orders have gotten their hybrid Maverick if it's very simple without constraints. But it's real. We've been waiting since July 2021. Hybrid XLT Lux. So yes, you've got that one, and the bed liner is actually a major problem for every single truck at Ford. But here's an odd one. 2023 model year F-150. keep this in mind if you're going to be ordering or have ordered a 23 F-150. Orders with the 3.5 liter EcoBoost engine, when equipped with any of the following packages, require a tough bed spray and bed liner. 96W is the code. You need the spray and bed liner if you've ordered. And why don't you sum this up? So which ones do we need, Marie?
Yeah. So with this is the one that you want me
Yes.
to... Okay. I wasn't sure, sorry. I was with the dog that wants to escape. So
right here.
I lost a little bit of time. So the STX Black Appearance Package and the XLT Black Appearance Package 2, Laureate Black Appearance Package, and Platinum Black Appearance Package.
So now don't take this note thinking, oh, that means there's no problem left with the tough bed spray and bed liner. There absolutely is. It's just oddly for those packages, you need to make sure that you've got the tough bed spray and bed liner in your option. Do you remember with the Maverick, they've actually removed the spray and bed liner altogether. They've removed also the bed rails from the luxury package, and they've also removed the remote starter. Now you can go ahead and add those things onto your order, but Ford removed them for a reason. They removed them because they're causing serious constraints. So do keep that in mind. Now, something very odd with the F-150, due to limited availability, it will take longer to schedule. Not in every case. How Ford words it is, orders with the following features may take longer to schedule due to limited availability. So again, with the F-150, we've got right here, Marie.
Yes, the heated steering wheels, the twin panel moon roof, sorry, I struggle to say that word, Pro Power onboard.
So that's the scales for knowing how much weight. The truck tells you how much weight is in your bed, so you put your four-wheeler in there and then you know how much your four-wheeler weighs.
Cool. Tailgate, sorry. The 5.0 liter V8, the 3.3 liter PFDI. What is PFDI?
It's the non-turbo model.
Okay.
And I see so few 3.3 liters that PF is probably port fuel direct injection.
Okay.
It's talking most likely, usually the lettering to behind Ford codes, engine codes, usually it's talking about the system of injection, often enough that they use. So PFDI, now there'll be a little quiz. If anyone knows the answer, just drop it down for the community.
Yeah,
but
we'll check that.
I would have to put just a wild guess at port fuel direct injection, that it's just saying the 3.3 liter now has port injection and direct injection, which would surprise me because it's, the low charge engine option. But anyways, I'm not certain. And also the 2.7 liter V6. So other things to know, it's that Ford very well, we got this recently as information, F-150s may very well get built without heated steering wheel and heated exterior mirrors. So, and they won't be added later on. They're permanently gone. But what is nice is on the F-150 Lightning, they might get delivered without the option functional, but later on the dealership will call you up. Ford has told dealerships that clients, with their Lightning, will get the heated steering wheel and heated exterior mirrors functioning later on. But not on the F-150. If yours comes without that, you're just not getting it, unfortunately. Now, what's really cool for that F-150 Lightning, really good news, the standard 20-inch all-season tires available on the XLT and Lariat are not available for scheduling for the remainder of the 2022 calendar year. And there's amazing news with that. But first, I want to do a huge thank you to Ash Paul. Very generous.
Thank you so much.
$10 US. That's like a month's rent in Canada because our money isn't worth much now. It's only 30% less. So that's actually 30% more for us. It's like $13 Canadian. Hey guys, hope you're well. My blend was 1012, but no modules popped or build status for my Wild Track. Ooh, I'm going to shut off Ford for this week, I guess. But who am I kidding? Yeah, some weeks I feel like just not looking at the builds, and I say this week I'm not going to look at my Lightning build. I'm not going to look at her Maverick build. And then in the end, I end up looking, like 3 times a day. Now I'm a little less worried because we actually bought the Ford F-150 Raptor, the 2019, low miles. And we had to buy that because I'm not, this winter, I don't, last winter she was driving around an old Escape, and there was enough rust underneath that I was worried that if she had a car accident, the thing would crumple. Because do remember, Escapes, actually it's a platform, so it's not a solid frame. So when it gets rusted, well, you lose some of the integrity and some of the safety in regards to when it crumples through crashing. So anyways, the dog is eating the notes, and that's my cue to continue with the notes.
She will cut you.
She's cutting me off.
Too long, John.
Too long. Long John here. So what else do we have to say? Well, the good news behind the Lightning as well, we've lost all season tires at no charge. We're actually getting some pretty cool, rugged, all-terrain tires. And on my Lightning, I was actually going to pay probably about 1,600 to 2,000 Canadian to get those tires. So dealerships, critical, make that change. And also critical for you to know, if, for example, we're a priority code 1 on our Lightning. And at first, our local dealership was like, oh, you're priority 1. We don't really want to mess around with things. But now it's gotten more serious. It went from limited to just you won't get built if you've got these all-season tires. So it's great. The regional, made their calls. The dealership made their switches. And then we were put back to priority code 1. So M. Peugeot. Oh, okay. So Marie's taking notes for later, I guess.
For later, yeah.
So now on to the 2023 model year Ranger. You're going to want to have, if you've got an XLT 300 or 301, your order requires remote start system to actually be eligible to be scheduled. So to kind of get picked into the pre-pool of, potential builds, to get put into that pool, to be a potential build, you're not at least want to have remote start. That's code 50B. And the following orders are not available for scheduling at this time. And that would be the XL 100A with Power Equipment Group, the XL 101, and the Lariat 501. That means if you want to have a chance of getting picked, have a Lariat 502 or have an XLT all throughout. But do remember, XLT 300 and 301 require the remote start system. I love the new Ranger, and Marie doesn't know this, but now that I've had the F-150, now that I'm starting to live with the F-150 Raptor, the Raptor is so cool. We actually had, I was off to Costco, and there's a kid that drove by in his electric vehicle. His dad, I guess, was driving the electric vehicle, but some young people still do love a big old ICE truck, internal combustion engine truck, because he filmed. He didn't just take a photo, he filmed. And I was at the lights and he filmed the whole way, and then he filmed my takeoff. So this kid was totally digging our gasoline powered F-150 Raptor, and I think I'm gonna want a Ranger Raptor or a Ranger Wild Track with a 2.7 liter if it's a Wild Track, or the 3 liter V6 twin turbo for the Raptor.
You think about the Ranger Raptor. Nick North was asking when it's coming. Do you know?
I do absolutely know. That's an amazing question. So we'll interrupt part of the show for that question. Really important to mention. Order a Ranger now. You're ordering a 2023. It's the same model we've had since 2019. Now, probably come this spring, there'll either be a reservation process online that will start, or Ford will say, go order at your dealer, because we're going to start having builds. I believe I have the dates somewhere here. Builds are going to be sometime near next summer. So late summer. I had a sheet that actually didn't say when the 24 would be built, but it said when the balance out phase for the 23 is. So I'll get back to you on the next live with that exact date. And anyways, it can move around. So saying sometime next summer now is as accurate as actually looking at the fleet date and telling you, because that date is probably going to move around like we saw in the Bronco and the Maverick this year. So M. Peugeot, he says, just the tip. Now I'm not sure what that's relating to. Maybe $5 is just a tip. Oh,
yeah, it was a joke. But M. Peugeot's on fire tonight. He was saying at the beginning that I should do an interpretative dance. The photos in Instagram, you don't need it. You just want to dance to know it. So.
Yeah, well, Mavi she was a cheerleader, and she did take dance in high school, and she was a cheerleader high school and college, or just college?
Both.
Okay.
Not that long, just 2 years. 1 year in each. But
wow.
yeah.
Well, when I was in high school, I never thought I'd date a cheerleader, so...
But I'm not able to dance you the picture that John said.
You could do an interpretive dance of the pain of waiting for your Maverick. That's a poop dance. No, it's not.
Yeah, I'm not that good anymore. It's been a few years since I did.
Yeah, when you're sitting in a chair, you can't really do an interpretive dance all that
Yeah,
well.
I guess Peugeot will take back his $5 because of my dance.
So, I don't know if that was just a short on YouTube, but do check out our Instagram, because sometimes we often have content that will be just on Instagram that doesn't quite fit with the channel. So it's a bit of, sometimes it's similar, sometimes it's the same, and sometimes it's just different because it's a different format. So Super Duty. Super Duties are long. Now, some of you will have received Super Duties in, relatively quick time spans. It depends on your dealership. Maybe your dealership doesn't have a whole lot of Super Duty orders, but they get a few allotments, so then you get built right away. And sometimes you actually miss a whole lot of constraints, and I've personally seen some Super Duties take 6 months to go from order to delivered. And I also have some that have been sitting around for 1.5 years and have yet to get a build date. So really important, constraints are real. People are allowed to write what they want in the comments section. They can say, I don't know anything and I'm full of, phooey, baloney, but I'm sorry, that's just not the case. So, and of course there are always exceptions. One of the Instagram photos that I put tonight was a Bronco. And I've been spewing for such a long time that, hardtop is longer. And that's because at some dealerships, hardtop 2.7 liter Sasquatch Bronco is a recipe for a 2-year wait. But I have been saying for an extremely long time that it can be at the right dealership, you might only wait 8 months for a reservation. And I've also said that, the inventory that Ford does send will be really simple. And no hard tops, but hard top numbers are better. We'll talk about them. They're, I think they're around 60% now. So the local dealer, as you can see from Instagram, they got a hardtop. But what is it attached to? Is it attached to the Wild Track, which is the most popular model from memory, or Badlands, both extremely popular models? Wild Track, only 21% of the production can go towards Wild Tracks. And that's including the 4 doors and the 2 doors. And a lot of people, a crazy amount of people, have asked for a 4-door hardtop Wild Track or a hardtop Badlands. So Instagram, you'll see it's a black diamond. So this makes me think that, from the beginning, and Peugeot was always telling me the best build was the black diamond. And he's been part of the show from the very, very beginning, just like Ridgeview. Ridgeview has always been here supporting us from the very beginning, and Peugeot has been making sure I don't make any mistakes since the very beginning. And I appreciate his corrections when, and sometimes we have good little discussions. But anyways, he's been saying that the Black Diamond was a fantastic build, and now here's a new reason why it's a fantastic build. We had one get built because it's a Black Diamond, even though it has a hardtop and a 2.7. So had I known my local dealer was getting this before I got the Raptor, that Raptor would not have been as easy of a decision. And the Raptor only took me a week to decide to buy.
Yeah, that was the fastest one, we could say. Oh, and by the way, you were speaking about Peugeot. Just a little thing. He was searching for the PFDI. That we spoke just before. So yeah, Peugeot is always there for us. Thank you.
I didn't notice it, but
he says it's port fuel direct injection.
Port fuel direct injection. Okay. Yeah. So I can't remember exactly what I said, but I guess I wasn't port. Oh, it's port fuel injection. I was hoping Yeah,
because you have port fuel injection and DI
PFDI.
is direct.
Port fuel direct injection. Oh, okay, great. So I wasn't...
Thank you so
PFDI,
much.
great. Thank you for confirming that. I wasn't positive. I just knew that historically Ford does enjoy having letters representing their forms of induction, or if they want to brag about something going on with valves, which was really popular in the late 90s, early 2000s. then they'd have V's in there to talk about valves. So Super Duty, do avoid the spray and bed liner. Do avoid the fifth wheel gooseneck hitch prep package. Do avoid the tonneau cover, and that's true of every single truck. Avoid all, follow the Bible on this one. The Bible's saying, avoid the bed stuff. And that's the same here at Ford and GM. Avoid the bed stuff. Wait until marriage. So wait until we'll call marriage when your truck actually shows up.
When
those were
the delivery date.
Yeah, those were very important rules back when, for the most part, hundreds of years ago and thousands of years ago. If you're a woman and you got pregnant and you weren't married, then if you didn't have the support, you could end up in a lot of financial difficulty and just general life difficulty. So those were important rules, really smart rules to live by. But same thing for, your trucks, whether you're looking at a Ford truck or not. Wait until marriage. Wait until the truck shows up at the dealership, then play with the bed stuff. Bed covers, tops, and also really anything with plastic. Spray in. Oh yes, absolutely. And avoid adding any additional plastic to the vehicles. That means window deflectors, hood deflectors, mud guards, mud flaps, splash guards, splash flaps, whatever you want to call them. Just avoid that stuff. It's trouble. So it'll cost you. It won't cost you. You won't have financial ruin, but it could mean that your vehicle gets pushed over to another year. And do remember, pretty much some models are already confirmed, but I would suspect all models converting from 23 to 24 will not get price protection or will not get a special rebate, meaning you will pay the full 2024 price on your vehicle. So you want to get built this year. That's what I've got to say about that. Now do remember the black appearance package is also on the Lariat. Black appearance package on the Lariat Super Duty. Also very, very limited, will hold you back. Now, anything that's SUV, whether it's Lincoln or Ford, do avoid adding the extra tech packages as a general rule. But adaptive suspension, just to give one example, and that's actually true across the board. Not going to talk too much about Lincoln because we don't have much of a Lincoln community here. But Lincolns are nice. I think the Lincoln Corsair plug-in is a model really worth considering, and I don't see it being a huge delay if you order one up. So if you're, if you want an Escape plug-in, I'm starting to see Escape plugins. They used to always pretty much take 3 or 4 months, but now I'm starting to see some 8 months and maybe some 9 months coming in. And I'd say getting a plug-in Corsair, if you got the extra dough to dish out, you're going to get a beautiful vehicle, really well insulated. Sound deadening in it is fantastic. The sound system is fantastic. The seats are really comfortable. Bridge of Weir leather, so that's from a tannery in England. Really high-end leather. They also use it in the Rolls-Royce, but on Rolls-Royce they splash it everywhere. And on the Lincoln, it's just actual parts of the seat that you would touch and feel. But still a great vehicle. So do keep that in mind. And Marie is letting me know we've got a question.
And Peugeot saying, I'll let you down.
Badlands non-Sasquatch was the best build, not Black Diamond. Don't know how you came up with the Black Diamond. Oh, fair enough. And yeah, we did like our Badlands, and we really avoided all tech on it to get it as soon as possible because we were desperate to get a Bronco ASAP. You all saw, or some of you saw Marie's reaction when I first brought the Bronco home.
Yeah,
her face exploded.
That's my favorite too, the Badlands non-Sasquatch.
Yeah. But high package.
Really love the mags.
We took it straight, and that's why we ended up being willing to trade it in, because we're like, every time I get in, it bugged me. It's like, I don't have keyless entry and it's minus 30. I don't have heated seats. Marie's having to sit on a dog blanket to keep her bottom warm. And
because that seat were so cold, like it's a material like plastic, so it's cold. Yeah.
And it is my job to take care of your bottom. So, so I sold that, and it allowed us, later on to be able to, we couldn't support 2 Broncos forever, but it was always in the plan. When I got the second Bronco, we're like, well, now we have a replacement. So if we could keep 2 Broncos, we would. Well, it's not as if I'm buying a Raptor because I really, was dying to buy a Raptor, which it is awesome. The suspension on it is incredible, and a lot of videos coming out on it.
Didn't search to buy a Raptor, but
It popped in my face.
It popped in your face.
Yeah.
It was there.
And it was actually...
It was a thing to try.
I had to see it every single day. And I've never had a Raptor, and I've always kind of dreamt of having either a Shelby or just an well, I say an SVT product, and now the Raptor is Ford Performance. But anyways, I always wanted SVT style, and the Marauder, it was an SVT, but with its age and its, big power back in the day, but not a whole lot of power these days, I was missing a little. So now for the 2023, we're almost done. We'll get into Q&A very shortly. Now for the 2023 F-150. Crew cab is 97% of production. So you want your F-150, you want to order a crew cab, unless you go non-crew and you're lucky if your dealership, if you notice in your area that there's a company ordering a whole bunch of super cabs in their fleet, well, they might have already they could have potentially secured almost all the super cab production or regular cab production for the entire year. So that's a question to ask the dealership if you're into a regular cab or a super cab. I always found a lowered super cab or a lowered regular cab, short box F-150. I always thought that looked good. Like our 1978 F-100 that I did a rotisserie job on. Now I'm thinking about fried chicken. Rotisserie paint job. Like so everything got spun, the frame, all the paneling got taken off, the box got taken off, and that got painted inside and out, and the interior was new. And I'm still sad that I sold that. But moving on, 2.7 liter EcoBoost is currently 28% of production. So that's fantastic. 3.3 liter PFDI, 3%. 3.5 liter EcoBoost, getting that pretty good, 40% of production. So Ford is building a lot of 3.5 liter EcoBoosts. Now the Power Boost, it's up a whole whopping 1%. It was at 16%. Now they're in 2022 for most of the year. It's now at 17%. So I'm still thinking there's more demand than that. So you order a hybrid Power Boost, you're not going to be waiting. Some F-150s get built between 3 to 4 months. Others do get built 5 to 6 months, and the longer ones, well, Power Boost would be a little longer because there's demand there. It is great for fuel economy, but do keep in mind when driving on the highway, the 2.7 liter EcoBoost and the Power Boost on the highway have very similar fuel consumption. It's in the city that the Power Boost is mind-blowingly good, and of course 570 pound-feet of torque is pretty awesome. Now the 5 liter V8 is only 12%. So if you live in an area where everyone thinks EcoBoost is less powerful than a 5 liter, totally not the case. But if you're living in an area that still thinks nothing beats a V8, and they're all ordering V8s, it would then be restrained. If you're in an area where 70% of people order a V8 and production's only at 12%, you're going to wait for your F-150 quite a long period of time. Now Tremor Series, 3%. The Maverick Tremor Series, 8%, but only 3% if you then also add the Tremor Appearance package to it. But on the F-150, it's 3%, and that is a great package. That makes it a baby Raptor, and 2 of my buddies have Tremors. And they're really, really awesome machines. I originally filmed but never edited a review on the Tremor, and I would give that really high ratings. The Radler package, wow, 2%. So 2% STX Black Appearance package, 2% XLT Black Appearance package, 7%. All nice packages, but constrained. You wait a little longer. Lariat Black Appearance package, 2%. Platinum Black Appearance package, 1%. But then again, what percentage of Ford buyers can afford a Platinum? So I'd still think you're going to wait a while. Twin panel moonroof, 11%. That is constrained. So if you're on the fence about the twin panel moonroof, but you're in a real hurry to get your F-150, skip it. Bed liner, tough bed spray in, 10%. And a lot of people love that, and a lot of people ask for it. So have it done when it gets into the dealership. Wheel well liners, that's plastic, so 8%. Pro Power on board, only 2%. And there's definitely quite a bit, multiples more. It's a multitude of people that are much more that are asking for that. So with Pro Power on board, that's the 2 kilowatt or the 2,000 watts available in your box. If you ask that on your F-150, you are waiting. That is currently very constrained. Now, of course, in 2-3 months, they could have the percentage go up to, let's say, 20%. And then, it won't hold back or cause a delay whatsoever. But right now for the month of October, 100% delay. 2023 Bronco, let's get through this one quickly. 2.7 liter EcoBoost is 71%. So that's really great. That's no longer an issue. Wow. Wild Track, 21%. That's bad. That is an issue. Sasquatch package, 45%.
Not that bad.
But more than 45% of people want a Sasquatch package.
Oh, that's the problem.
That's where the problem is. The number can be high, but if the demand is higher, you've got waits. Lux package, major problem at the beginning of Bronco production back in 2021. Not so much anymore, 44%. That's something else that a lot of people do ask for. But I'm not seeing any major delays with that anymore. Hardtop is at 61%. That's fantastic. Demand is still a little higher because remember, that's all those two doors, original two-door orders, a lot of the remaining reservations that didn't get built, they're hardtops. So that's major. The three doors at 17%. Full-time four-wheel drive, we love it. 71%. So that's good. Ford is building that at where they need to have that built. Front bumper, the Ford Performance heavy duty modular is at 38%. Towing capacity capability, 52%. If you're never going to tow anything, don't get it. If maybe one day you might tow something, add it on later. But if you need it, it's worth waiting for. And honestly, locally, I haven't seen any major anything to worry about in regards to delays with the tow capability. Ford does have it on their list of things that cause delays, but I'm not seeing a whole lot. I'd say if you have that with a hardtop, with a 2.7 and a Wild Track, then yes, because just removing that on your Wild Track puts you ahead of all those orders that do have it. And once the hitches get distributed, then there's no hitches, but they need to build Broncos. Well, if your Wild Track doesn't have it, they will pick you right up, depending if it's then amongst the people that did take it off. If it's your turn. Paint protection film, avoid it like the plague. It's Locust. It's at 3%. It'll eat up your Bronco production page and your little order. Well, let's pretend it's that paper at the factory. Well, Locust eat it and it is gone. The 2023 Ranger, we've already talked about that, so that's good. The 2023 Maverick, here are your major constraints. They're not all listed, but here are the ones given by Ford. Bedliner, spray-in, 40%. A lot more people, there's a buildup. It's above 40%. Lariat Luxury Package, 25%. Well, the problem is a lot of people asked for the Lariat Luxury Package. XLT Luxury Package, 30%. Also, high demand for it. So you take it off, you get built faster. Ford Copilot 360, they're at 60%. But I love Copilot 360, and if it costs me a few extra months of waiting, I would keep that on. It's great
Like
safety.
I love the Lux package.
Like you love the Lux package. Cruise control, adaptive cruise control, thankfully. I read news on Ford Authority that Ford is working on a better adaptive cruise control system, which is great because I sometimes get frustrated with mine on the Mustang. I'm going through a corner and I'm in a corner. That is not the time to apply brakes. And the system brakes because it's seeing the lines turn and it's like, oh, there's lines coming out, and then it brakes and then it goes normal and then it brakes. That's dangerous. Not on pavement, but on if it was an icy situation that could cause that's in my opinion, I haven't scientifically tested this, but I do know that when I was younger and I didn't know how to drive, if I was in a corner and I hit the brakes, I was going off the road if the surface was slippery because you break traction. So good on Ford for working on that. And they're not the only ones that they're adaptive cruise control. I haven't heard of a manufacturer yet that has a perfect adaptive cruise control system, but Ford is working to make it perfect. Now the Mach-E are, electric, and it's great. The list says it how they should have called it. It doesn't say Mustang, it says Mach-E. They should have just called it a Mach-E. But anyways, Select Series. Select Series at 0% of production. So right now that just means Ford's not building the Mach-E Select. It's not in production. Now the Escape, I did say I'd mention it, 0% for 2022 Escapes. If you asked for an S series, so that's the very base, 0%, none are going to get built. Escape plug-in, none are going to get built. Titanium Elite package, none are going to get built. Technology package, that's code 86D, none are going to get built. So do keep that in mind. So there are ways around that. But I'd say if I had an escape order, I'd be happy to get the new 23. You'll pay a little bit more, yes, but you get the new model. Your trade value in 4 to 5 years is going to be so much better if you have, you know, the old model. So if you have the most recent model, that's great in regards to trade. So I'm just going to quickly go through this. We talked about the F-150 Lightning, the tire option. You now need to throw on the all-terrain tires because that's all they're going to be producing. So they're having trouble getting the all-season tires, but the all-terrain tires, I'd say thank you. Incredible gift from Ford. Those are tires that are worth a lot more. They're a whole lot more useful and they look better. Now, F-150, don't forget heated side view mirrors. Removal code is 76X. Remove it, get built. And that could be, you know, if you ordered an XL 101, XLT Tremor Lariat King Ranch Platinum Limited and Raptor. And I was actually going to complain about my Raptor, my 2019 Raptor. I was like, and it has an amazing sound system. And of course, we'll do a review. We already filmed it. I just have to get around to editing it. But the sound system's 10 out of 10. But I was frustrated because I was like, what is this? This is an expensive truck. And there's no heated steering wheel. And I did a master reset. And in the master reset, I don't know what happened. But today I noticed this steering wheel is hot. And I found out that it's most Fords, the heated steering wheel, when you hit climate, it's there. Or they have it as an actual button. But here you have to hit, you go to climate, you have to hit menu, and then it pops up. So just a reminder, no matter whether you're a Ford fan, a Mercedes fan, Porsche, do remember that the touchscreens, I don't know who's making them. They're pretty good, but sometimes you just have to, things can be a little hard to look for when you're driving. So get to know your touchscreen.
And sometimes you need to remove your gloves to touch it and you freeze.
Yeah, but generally the Ford touchscreens have generally always worked well with my gloves.
Yeah,
especially
if you don't have big mittens.
Yeah, if you don't have big mittens, but buy gloves with ideally the gloves that are made for using on your cell phone are going to work great on your Ford touchscreen. But just a side note, if you're having issues with your touchscreen, learn it when it's parked and don't be afraid. Touch, press, everything. That's how you learn. And even after all these years, I assumed, hey, I've got no heated steering wheel. And then when the steering wheel felt pretty hot, I was like, okay, I got to go searching. It is hidden somewhere here. So heated steering wheel removal, though, for the new trucks, dealers must add option code 94X, that's the heated steering wheel removal, to all stock retail. So stock, that's what gets stocked into the yards, which is these days pretty much nothing. Retail and fleet orders. So retail, that's us, our customers' orders. So that's great. Well, no, it's not great. It's actually the opposite of great. It's actually pretty bad that we're going to lose the heated steering wheel. But on the Lightning, what's great is you'll temporarily lose it, but you'll get it later on. So these need to be amended by the dealer as soon as possible. Otherwise, it'll have already been switched in the system. And I'm sorry, that did already get corrected. The 13th, yeah, that got corrected at the end of last week. So that covers everything that I absolutely wanted to cover on the show tonight. I did mention about a little secret here. I should share this only on the members live, but I did say I could mention the balance out sold out date for the Ranger is 7/07/23. So July 7th, 23 is the balance out / sold out date for the 23 Ranger. So what does that mean? That only logically means that within 1 to usually max 2 weeks later, they're building 24s. So there could be a down period of max 1-2 weeks, but then our 24 Rangers are going to get built. That's the new model. That's the styling that I'd say the new Ranger styling is my favorite truck styling on the market right now. It's got a nice big grill without being excessively big, which I'm finding the new GMs, the grills are just a little too big. And it's not, it's a nice style. It suits me quite a bit. So I won't be trying to change your Maverick. You'll have waited so long for your Maverick. If you want to keep it for 5 years, you can keep the Maverick, but the new Ranger is on my list.
Yeah, but it will be like my plug-in Escape. I will change it after 1 year of waiting for a Maverick, and then if I change a Maverick for a Ranger, I will wait again and again.
So let's hope Ford gets back to building. Marie doesn't even have a build date, so let's hope you at least get given some hope. And once we get some hope, we can handle a delay or two, a 1 month delay, and then maybe a second 1 month delay. But it would just be nice to have a build date.
Yeah, but you know what? Because I didn't have a build date, we had the chance to have the Raptor because we needed another car for the winter.
You can tell she's not paying for that Raptor.
No, I'm just happy because you're living your dream too. If I had my Maverick, you never had to buy that.
Marie, I'm pretty sure today when I sat down...
See the positive.
the positive? My wallet is so upset that when I sat down today and I pinched my bottom...
you hear?
I pinched my bottom and it's not the wallet... It's not between the chair, the wallet, and my body that the pinching was occurring. I'm going to theorize here that my wallet bit me out of anger. My wallet bit my butt because it is upset with me having a third vehicle on. So why stock market's so bad these days that I did put some cash down on that, a good chunk, but it's still a good chunk of payments. They're not inexpensive, but used Raptor, I like the idea of that compared to a new Raptor, because a new F-150 Raptor, I would have paid that like $30,000 over MSRP. Because locally, my dealership that takes care of me can't get any. They're not currently, authorized to sell Raptors. Otherwise, I would have ordered up a new one at MSRP. If they get MSRP, it's a price that makes a lot of sense, but not at $30,000 or $35,000 over MSRP. So I picked up a used one, which can be a solution for others of you out there. If every dealer you get a hold of won't sell at MSRP, well then looking at the used market, the prices have gone down. Maybe you live in an area, you can tell me I'm completely wrong, but do keep in mind that's going to be exclusive to your area. There are still pockets, you could say, certain areas where the prices are still on used vehicles still inflated, but I'd say now in a lot of markets, pricing on used vehicles are very reasonable. I like the pricing on a used vehicle to the point where I felt the Raptor that I bought, I got a good price on it. It would have been brand new with markup. It would have been 100, and those are Raptor and SVT and Shelby products have always generally sold over MSRP. So, a truck that's the 2023 model was probably going to work out to about 110 equipped like our Raptor is. I would have maybe bought it at 135, so getting it for 75 Canadian I feel is a great
deal.
It's a good deal. Like the used market has calmed down. I'm liking the used market.
When we bought Winston, you wanted Winston because he was on sale, like the Raptor. Oh, I'm just joking. Because when we had Winston, he was a little trouble with one of his eyes.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll lose one, but finally he's okay.
We got given the medication. They're like, you have to apply it every 4 hours. And I was like, you know what? I'm willing to wake up every 4 hours with a little alarm, or Marie, to give him his, to give him his eye, pretty much all you, to give him his eye medication. I was like, no, we're the right couple to take care of this dog, and he's the run to the litter.
And he cost less because he was injured. So no, I'm just kidding with the Raptor. You have it that cost less like Winston.
The Raptor is not injured in any way.
It's not injured. Not yet.
Well, with gas prices being as high as they are, you could say that something like the Raptor, you could say, is injured in the view of a lot of purchasers. But do remember, the fuel economy I'm getting off the Raptor is about the fuel economy off a brand new Ram 1500 with all, their little almost kind of not quite hybrid system, their assistance, their hybrid assisted system. So I'm playing around 14 point, if I'm really careful, 14.42 to less careful, 14.8 liters per 100 kilometers, and driving it like I just bought it, well, 15 and a half to 16. But now I've consistently been playing in the 14 liter per 100 kilometer range, and it's a big, impressive truck that, you know, kids still take photos of. So thankfully, there's still some kids out there. I love the new electric vehicles. The F-150 Lightning is a marvel. It is incredible. It's a speed bike with size because it accelerates like a speed bike and it feels like it brakes like a speed bike, and its low center of gravity makes it incredible in the corners. Now, we always do Q&A at the end of the show, so we're going to wrap up with a few questions and then we'll sign off. And depending, I'll have to look at the time, and being that this show has been an hour, I don't know if we'll have time to do our members only live this evening, but I do want one coming up in a week, within a week, to catch up with everybody.
Yes, that's perfect. So to start with the first question, it was from Tony. I see he's not with us anymore. Everybody says bye to Tony just before, but maybe that could interest a few people. Do you know on the 2023 Ranger if people will be able to put snowplow?
Snowplow on a Ranger.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a good question.
Well, the new Ranger frame for the 24 is going to be the current Bronco frame, so it's a stronger frame, and it would stress me less. But I don't know if I'd want to plow snow with 2.3 liter, even though it's a 4-cylinder. It does have, from recollection, well, in the Mustang, it has 350 pound-feet of torque. But generally, you don't want to snowplow in front of a turboed engine because turboed engines need air coming in. And at low speeds, you have very little air. And then when there's a snowplow blocking that air from going into where it needs to go, I wouldn't recommend it. Do refer. The official answer is going to be in your owner's manual. And obviously, if you don't own it yet, well, look at an owner's manual online and look it up. But even if it says you can, I still wouldn't be comfortable doing it because turbo engines need air. They can be very reliable, but they absolutely need air. You need to make sure your turbo engine doesn't get hot too quickly, doesn't stay hot for too long, and doesn't get cold too quickly. And that's why, turbo vehicles from the 90s, to go from, quite poor reliability to only poor reliability, despite some people saying Toyota MR2 2 liters are, super reliable, I have not had that experience, and everyone I know hasn't had that experience. But we used to throw on turbo timers, which meant when you arrived somewhere, you picked anywhere from 30 seconds to 5 minutes to let the car idle to cool down the turbos before shutting down, so they didn't cool off too quickly.
Okay, that's a good explanation. We have another question. It was when we were talking about the Ranger at the beginning from Johnny Appleseed. So do you know when people will be able to, just to make sure, we get our turn to place an order for a non-reserve?
Johnny Appleseed also saying hi to the new puppy. When do we get our turn to place an order for a non-reserved PPL? Any news? I hear November and then I hear Q3, 23. Any news? Thank you both. Could you just please specify what model? Because for some reason, PPL isn't making me...
Yeah, we were talking about Ranger at that time.
Oh, Ranger? Okay, well, if it is in regards to the Ranger, I do suspect that it's either going to be spring or very early summer that you'll be able to go and order your 24, but probably middle to late spring. And that's a guesstimate on my part. But when you see the balanced out for the 23 Ranger being the 7th of July currently, if they don't move those dates around, which they often do, but if they don't move those dates around, it only makes sense to allow us to order up our 24 Ranger, usually 1 to max 3 months before, unless they do a reservation system, which reservation systems can be, 6 to 8 months prior to production starting up. Now, I think Ford has learned that people don't like to wait a year. So I think if they do have a reservation process, maybe I think it would be wise for a lot of us, for our patience levels and our general happiness to have a reservation process that's, let's say, 3 months before you start building them, to help cut down a bit on the perceived wait time. Because of course, when you reserve, a lot of us start counting, okay, I'm waiting now, when in reality we should start counting we're waiting from when the first production model for a client rolls out. Not even the journalist demos, but the real models going out to real clients.
And Emperor was adding, that John was probably talking about Bronco. So he said November 21 for the Bronco. Is it the good date that you had?
Yeah, I'm gonna go and check that.
For the order of the Bronco.
That sounds like it could be quite legitimate. So let's go down to the Bronco here. Make sure, okay, this isn't my most recent schedule, because it's not my most recent calendar.
We'll need to double check, yeah.
So, yeah, late November, I'd say, and it could still move around. So I'd say the Bronco, to let non-reservation people order up, I'd say probably, anywhere from end of November to maybe it gets pushed back and we're talking early winter. So like maybe January, I would think at worst February. But basically it's just a matter of time. Ford needs to give people who've reserved time to convert, to reconfirm the model that they want. Maybe they want to go with the Wild Track because now it has the Haas 3.0 suspension. Wow, I love the idea of that. But then I wouldn't go Wild Track if I was in a hurry. If I'm not in a hurry, I would definitely go Wild Track. That Haas 3.0 actually makes the Wild Track make a lot of sense now, whereas before it was like, heck, Badlands Bronco's the best Bronco. You get stabilizer bar disconnect. You get an interior that can get muddy, that can get stained, that you can drop, obviously not wine, but because you shouldn't, you won't be drinking inside the vehicle, but juice or whatever, coffee, hot chocolate.
Yeah, it happens when you eat in the car too, so.
And with you could spill wine just about anywhere. You like wine and you're clumsy, so you put the two together and the chances are high.
Yeah, but I won't have wine in the car even if I'm not driving.
If we can't, you would. If I could convince you to camp.
Yeah, but maybe I will drink wine by the fire. But...
What would you say my chances of getting you to go camping are in the next 5 years? Out of 100%.
So low.
What, is it 1% or is it less than 1%? It's probably less than 1%, isn't it?
No, maybe 1.
Yeah.
A little bit of positivity, but not that much.
Marie-Pierre isn't a pavement princess because she does like to go off-roading. She has fun off-roading. We took the Raptor off-roading. Yeah. She had fun. But Marie is a palace princess. If like
not that much.
Oh, come on.
We have 2 poodles. They will get eaten by the bears. Bears.
You refuse motels. You refuse most hotels. The hotel has to be really nice for you to accept it. And we even once stayed in a really nice, like it was an old mansion from the 1800s. And because there was carpeting on the ground and the color scheme was dark, you're like, no, this place is no, it's not up to par. It wasn't up to par.
No, it's not. It's just because at home I always take the time to wash stuff and it's all clean. So when I go somewhere there is carpet and people that goes there for just 1 or 2 days, I'm like, oh, I don't want to know what's in this carpet.
Well, I'm lucky because now when we go to a resort, I'm not the only one flipping up the covers, checking for bed bugs and checking the sheets for stains. I also like to, even though I used to work on a farm, I was weird, as soon as my hands would get dirty with manure, I would, want to wash my hands and would wash my hands, which is very odd for someone who is farming. So I like wearing gloves. Okay,
and we had another question. I saw that Nick North was asking just before that he wanted to know what year was your Marauder back in the time, because he said he has a Marauder for sale, 2004.
Cool. Ours was a 2003 Marauder.
Yeah.
And
it was black.
It was in great condition except for the back end of the vehicle. It's as if the back end of the vehicle was parked on very humid grass, because the back of the vehicle, the trunk area, was rotten out, and even some of the frame, there's a little bit of too much rust on the frame for my liking. But then the rest of the vehicle looked amazing underneath. And Yeah, the paint job on it had been repainted, and it wasn't a great paint job, but nonetheless, it was worth like 10 grand. But had it been
Canadian.
Canadian,
Yeah.
but had it been in absolute top condition, we see some of these for sale for, what, 20 to 30,000 US.
Yeah, it has
It
a
is
good condition.
yeah, it's a pretty cool car. It is a Marie didn't like it.
I wish I could go to work with that.
Yeah, I was like, you felt it was punishment, and so
No, it wasn't that bad, but
so the people, this community, this is why I have to buy a Raptor, because at least then I know I can use the Bronco. Because if I bought another car like the '06 Escape, or the
I
big,
really love that Escape.
oh
It
yeah,
was fun when you put the gas pedal. It goes so well.
well,
You don't
if,
remember
if
when
you would
we
have pressed
drove
down
it?
on the Marauder, it would have gone. It would have gone really well too.
It was special to turn with that in the snow.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, and it broke down
Was
on
big.
you once. And the back end did like swinging around, which I kept telling her that's a bonus, and she's like, "No, it's broken. The back end slides out." I'm like, "It's not broken. It's a bonus. This is fun. Enjoy
It's
it."
not broken. It was
called drifting.
special. I said.
Yeah, well,
Special.
I like drifting in the snow. Carrying
I
on,
know
we'll do one or
you
two
love
more questions, and I'll wrap our show up for tonight.
Yeah, so perfect.
We got to, it's soon in 30 minutes. All Terrain Nation will be on, so All Terrain Nation is having a live, and
So we'll leave to let in the plates.
yeah, we'll leave everyone time to go head over to All Terrain Nation. So M Peugeot has one here. Is Haas 3.0 a constraint? No word on it yet. If everyone asks for it, yes, because the wild track altogether is a constraint. So yes, actually, great question, because it's very specific, but the truth is in the general intel. And the general intel is that wild tracks can only be built at 21% of total production, and that's both 2 doors and 4 doors. And we know a lot of people have asked for that, because from day one, everyone thought wild track was like, you had to have a wild track Bronco because it's the second best one, because they thought first edition was the best one. Badlands is dope. Is 2-door a constraint? 2-door, I'm still seeing 2 doors taking 8 to 10 months, whereas 4 doors with a soft top can be as quick as 4 months. So, and then with Sasquatch package, I have actually seen a few at 4 months, but also some 5 or 6 months. So generally, yes, absolutely. So if you're at a dealer where their fastest ones are 8 months, then maybe you also, maybe, this is a guesstimate, but let's say you follow the same ratio. Well, 8 months, you double it. Maybe you're looking at 16 months for going with 2-door. So I think that's kind of like a general rule I would use. If like 4 high, 4 low mentioned, his dealership refused to tell him how many orders they had. To me, that doesn't sound like a good dealership. If like I'm okay if they're like, we don't feel like counting them all, but we do have about 60. Okay, well, that's not the best wording to give to a buyer, someone who feeds you, who allows you to put food on the table. That's not how I would answer them. But I would, if it was me, I'd say something along the lines of, oh, well, we've had about, let's say, Mavericks. We've had about 60 Maverick orders. I suspect we'll get, and I know these numbers aren't exact because I didn't actually prepare for this. So this is actually potentially far from the truth. But let's say I did have roughly 60 Maverick orders. I'd say we have roughly 60 Maverick orders ahead of you. Let's say we get 50. Well, yeah, if you order now, you might end up with a 2024. That is definitely a possibility. But hey, let's try to remove some constraints. Let's keep this simple, but make sure you're still happy with the build, and maybe we jump ahead. Or you want your perfect ideal build, well, realize then, yeah, it's almost guaranteed you're going to be more than 12 months. Unless you want your perfect build on an Ecoboost. Those aren't too bad. Now, did we get all M. Peugeot's questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, after that, he was just kidding because he was saying that a trailer park wasn't to be our future home with what we said about camping.
No. And I tried. Actually, I like trailers. And there was a lot for sale that had a view of our entire city. Well, half of the city, but a beautiful mountain view. 2 mountain views. And I was like, hey, the lot is really expensive. And building right now is like, we wouldn't get anyone right away. We'll probably get it built in 12 months. I was like, why don't we just get a camper, park it up there, and live in the camper for, let's say, 6 months. But then we'll have a camper from when we go down to Florida and to different places. And Marie was just like, no. You vetoed that one. Yeah, so no campers on a hill.
Nope.
So we have one
one.
last? Yeah, oh, great.
Here, I will let you read that.
The WB. Thank you so much. I'm happy you're here. The WB, always great seeing you. Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. Off-road question. Maybe you or M. Peugeot can comment. M. Peugeot's a better off-roader and he takes on much more challenging trails than me. We only have mostly mud here. But YouTuber put a torsion bar across the engine compartment of a MAV. Said added stability. Could be felt. Thoughts? I'd say I've done that with several econo sports cars. Yeah, an econo sports car, for example, what I would say, let's say a Mazda MX-6, or my buddy did that. Ford Escort GT. I've done that on several 90s Mustangs, and I want to put a better one on the Toyota, the Toyota MR2. I removed the original crossbars across the engine bay in the back. And now because I had no choice, I went with huge intercooler piping and it wouldn't fit anymore. And I should have bent them and done something. But anyways, yes, simply put, yes, I've done it. I've been there. It does help with making the vehicle more rigid, which traditionally, with simpler suspensions, really back in the day, the only way you could get better handling, there's a multitude of ways, but generally you went with a lower profile tire to avoid tire fold, and you lowered the vehicle to lower the center of gravity, hence why the F-150 Lightning is incredible for its weight in regards to handling. And then you add torsion bars. And, convertible technology has come a long way, because back in the day, if you wanted to go fast, you definitely didn't get a convertible because they would twist so much. And how have convertibles resolved the problem of twisting in the bendies? They've played around with suspension, low profile tires, but a big part of it is adding structural rigidity due to torsion bars. And actually on the Mustang, what's really cool is to protect you both in a roll, the front windshield, around your windshield, that framing is unbelievably strong. It helps you if you roll to not get crushed, but it also makes the vehicle a lot more stiff. So that's...
Wow.
And of course the Mustang, you look at a Mustang, you pop the hood. What does the GT have? Huge stability bar in the engine bay going from one shock tower to the other shock tower, because the shock tower is one of the areas that take up a lot of the for some reason my brain is freezing here, but the G-forces in the corners, a lot of that gets absorbed, you could kind of say, by those shock towers, and that's where there could be some flex occurring. So they put a stabilizer bar on top of those shock towers to ensure that there's no flex, and then ideally you also have one underneath, going from side to side. And then of course there's more tricks that you can do, like putting them added bars in diagonal if your center bar is thick enough to actually take in some of that, to add torsion. That's great. I think that covers all our questions. I'm sorry I didn't realize that my pants on this leather chair would make these noises, which I'm sure when I watch it again, the live, I'm gonna beat myself up over this. But thank you so much for joining tonight. Marie and I, we appreciate the questions. We appreciate the intel that you bring to the community. So when you do have intel, you have information, do share in the comment section. It's all helpful. Even if it's, sometimes like, hey, your new puppy pants way too hard, we can hear that on our end. Well, then we'll know for next time to try to find a solution for her panting. But especially car and truck specific intel, do share about your orders, share about your experiences with the current vehicles you own. We love hearing about that. And
and now... for now. We will do the members live. So around the 10 minutes. So we'll do that now. So stay tuned if you are able to join us in the members live.
Yeah, we'll answer any questions that you have, and we'll have a little bit of content about what's been going on, more on the personal level. I don't have any bombshells to drop. My kind of bombshell was talking about the Ranger, the balance out phase for the 23, which does let us know when the 24 is going to start getting built. So that was my bombshell for this evening. But thank you all for watching. I wish you all more cars and more power. And, you know, we hope you do get to put the pedal to the metal if that's your thing. We did in our off-road video, so stay tuned. Hopefully Ford doesn't have one of those, you know, the next 2 weeks. I'm hoping that there's not so much intel that I can't get around to editing that. The intel from Ford, the interesting info was a little lighter this week. One of the big things really was just that they're having the transit van. Well, the transit van, they're bringing a new van life model so that it'll be easier for companies to accessorize it, turn it into an kind of sounds like a bit of an off-road camper. So they're going to make it more camp ready. So very cool, but I'm not going into details on that other than the fact that it's made in Missouri, because the transit, from my experience, at least in my area and in most areas, is really backlogged. There's so much demand for these transit vans from both businesses. It's the #1 selling van in North America, but the demand is extremely high and the production, it does not match. So, you know, I'd say if you order up a transit van right now, you're likely going to wait at least a year. And that's a big at least. I'd say we could be looking at over probably between 1.5 years and 2.5 years. Is it worth waiting for? Yeah, it's a great vehicle, but that's what I had for tonight. That was the last photo that was in an Instagram. Take care, y'all. I have to go manually shut this down.
Have a good night, everyone.